Welcome to Saturday Night Live Stream. This is our last stream of February, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, tonight we're going to a few different things we're going to talk about. It's a bit of a hodgepodge. So you'll notice that I don't have a guest tonight, and that was on purpose. I thought that by having a hodgepodge, it might be more fun to just sort of, after I'm finished going through some of the things I want to talk about, just sort of throw the link out, and if anybody wants to come on, they can at that point. But that'll be a little bit later in the show. First of all, there's definitely a lot of things that we want to be talking about, and it's going to be pretty darn cool. First thing you may notice, the background has changed a tiny bit. Went a little bit darker because I found that a lot of my tops were blending in a little bit too close to the previous color. So darkened everything up a little bit just to help make me stand out a little bit better, especially in the videos. Big news is shorts have been going like crazy. So if you haven't noticed, I've been doing a short a day, all brand new content. I haven't been clipping yet. I might do some clipping down the road, and we're going to talk a little bit about that when I talk about the Metaverse stream in a little bit. But the first thing is that one thing I guess that's on everybody's mind is probably, well, what's going on over there with Ukraine and Russia. So I thought we would start the night off just by talking a little bit about, about war. Nobody really likes war. I don't like war. And it's unfortunate that this situation has happened and that diplomacy was not able to stop it. To be honest, I was in that boat where I really didn't think it was going to happen, but I was wrong. And it's interesting. One of the things that, of course, as humans, we all bring our emotions into things, and we sort of think about what's going on over there, the poor people, all of that, and that, it's horrific what's happening over there. However, as investors, we have to sort of start putting our emotions aside a little bit. And what I mean by that is that we need to sort of think a little bit about, okay, this is happening. This is the state of the world. We can't change that. But, what can I do with my portfolio? What can I do to perhaps, not bleed as much? And absolutely, I know that's very little compared to what's going on over in the world. But as investors, one of the big rules of investing is when you invest, you have to check your emotions at the door. This is a big one, and this is a lot of emotions to certainly check behind. But if you want to be making the right decisions when the world is in this kind of a chaos, well, you do have to check your emotions at the door. So one of the interesting things with the market is one of the first things we'll look at is the commodities. So the commodities actually went absolutely, they exploded. Things like the price of wheat, for example. And why? Why did this happen? Well, because Russia and Ukraine, between the two of them, they produce a lot of wheat. And that's a lot of wheat that's no longer on the world market. As a result, the prices of wheat went flying through the roof. Oil as well is another one of those ones that if you're invested in the oil sector, you did really well last week. And that's simply just because of what's happening. You have to look at the countries that are involved in things like this and sort of say to yourself, okay, well, what is that going to affect? The supply of oil, the supply of wheat. What other commodities are out there that perhaps, I might be able to invest in to make a little bit of money while this is happening? So there's definitely some that you can look at. And that's one of the interesting things is when you're looking at this type of a conflict. Now, the other big thing is, of course, Bitcoin, of course. We all saw that when this event began, Bitcoin did a pretty deep dive. And in fact, it was right down to the bottom of that channel I've been following. Give me a second. Let me just pull this up. Because if you can see what I'm talking about, it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to very quickly share screen number 1. Boop-a-doo-doo-doo. All right. So here's the Bitcoin price. Now, this here is our channel. This is the big channel that anybody who's been on my email list, we've been sort of following this and explaining what's been happening here. So interestingly enough, the bottom blue line, that's the support for this giant channel that we have here. And I'm just going to zoom out and you can sort of see this channel has been going for a very long time since, well, all the way since December of 2020. That's when we entered this channel. If you were to trace this even further back, you'll find some other supports way, way back. But that's not important right now. What's important is when we take a look at, whoops, I got to zoom in on the actual screen. All right, so when we zoom in, and I'm going to really zoom in here so we can sort of see the bottom here. So what happened here is when we had this problem with Ukraine, so when the war began, we bounced all the way down, and we actually, excuse me, frog in the throat. I'll start doing Sesame Street news soon. We bounced all the way down to the line, but it held. And that was amazing. So it actually came down, and give me a second here. I'm gonna pull it a little bit back because there we go. Because the line was kind of disappearing into that big spike in buying. So we came all the way down to the line, we hit it, and then we came back pretty hard actually. So I mean, we came down to 3,400, and we have been as high as 40 right now. So it's about 6,000. So what's going on with Bitcoin? There's a couple of different theories. One is, well, the country of Ukraine, they actually tweeted some of their addresses, some of their crypto addresses to say, hey, if you want to help us, you can donate Bitcoin or Ethereum, or I believe it was a stable coin. So I think it was, I can't remember which one it was, but that's what they put their addresses up for. So you could actually donate to them. So a lot of people have actually donated to help out Ukraine, whether it's to buy weapons or it's probably to buy weapons at this point, to be honest. Now, the other side of the coin is when we look at Russia. With all of the sanctions hitting Russia, we've now got a lot of these ultra rich people who are going to be affected by these sanctions sort of looking at Bitcoin and saying, okay, let's start spending a little bit of money on Bitcoin. And that could be interesting. So what is happening right now with Bitcoin? I mean, there's a lot of resistance up above here. I mean, it's a bit of a mess, but I think if anything, we're either going to go sideways for a bit, but I'm still confident in this blue arrow overall. I know I had predicted we'd be back up at the top of this channel by about the end of May. It's hard to say. Events like this, even though we kind of knew the war was coming, it's still what we call a black swan event. Even though we kind of knew it was coming, but a lot of us didn't think, and I was in that group that didn't think it would actually happen. Now, if there's, and this is the whole thing. When we talk about war, we have to sort of look into a little bit into the future, because how this war goes is really going to play a role in what the market's going to do. So if this is just a quick little skirmish, things will recover pretty quickly. Everything should be back to normal. One thing I would be worried about, though, is some of the penny energy stocks. I know a few of those penny stocks that were in the energy sector did like 15% just over the last few days. Those ones I would be a little bit concerned about, maybe even thinking about, maybe it's time to take some profits. So there is that. Now, the other option, and the more likely one, is that this could be a prolonged thing. And what will happen is, of course, the market's going to stabilize. We'll get, the war will just become another thing in the background. People won't be super panicking over it. And then, of course, there's the worst case scenario, which is, this war decides to go a little bit, decides to expand a little bit. Now, if that were to happen, well, at that point, I don't even think I'd be so much worried about my investments as I'd be worried about, the state of the world per se. that'd be one of those times when it would be hard to keep your emotions in check if it, if it ever did get to the point that, let's say Putin decided to go beyond Ukraine. But let's hope that hasn't happened or doesn't happen, won't happen. And I'm not going to go really far down that rabbit hole because it kind of borders a little bit on conspiracy theory, but it's not outside the realm of possibilities, which that alone kind of concerns me with that. So what are we looking at over the next couple of weeks? I know there's a lot of people who are thinking now's the time to be buying silver, I would say silver, not a bad thing, but I would also be looking at blue chip if you're really concerned, if you're really worried, at least moving some of your resources into your blue chip stocks, or with crypto moving into the blue chip cryptos. So like, your big ones like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Polkadot, and even Satama. I think Satama is starting to look half decent too. Move it out of sort of like your penny and your meme stocks and your meme coins. That would be a good idea. If you're concerned, I mean, if everything goes back to normal, once we get used to this, if it just sort of turns into a prolonged war, and it doesn't look like it's going to expand, then things will slowly start to move back to normal. And then the next big thing is going to be, while March is coming up and both Canada and the US are looking at raising interest rates in March. So we'll have to see how the war has affected their thoughts on that. I still think they're going to do it. But the problem is, as soon as we get closer to that time, we all know what happens. We get a little bit more volatility in the markets. That's definitely going to happen. All right, now I've been talking my head off for a little bit. Let's actually take a quick check and see who we've got in the house. All right, so we got the friggin' Oracle here. Oh my God, Seja Token Rebirth. Very cool. And we got Sandra. Hi, Sandra. How about subgrowth from shorts? I can talk about that. Absolutely. So one of the ideas, just the idea with, it's interesting. When I started YouTube, I looked at shorts and I was like, oh, well, aren't they cute? And I kind of dismissed them. And as I'm learning more and more about YouTube and how to grow my channel, I watch and I devour a lot of content that tells me how I should be doing YouTube, how I should be developing the channel. And they've been saying use shorts. And I was like, really? I mean, my channel is more of a long form channel. It doesn't suit shorts very well. But then after a while, I was thinking about it. And Jill was like, you should do shorts. You should do shorts. And I was like, yeah, I should do shorts. But I still kind of procrastinated. And then, of course, good old Nate Palmatier, a friend of the channel, and next week's guest, by the way, we're doing a tax live stream next week. So you definitely don't want to miss that one. He comes along and he starts doing shorts. And all of a sudden, he's actually starting to pick up some subs. I'm like, oh, because we were, we were neck and neck. I was getting pretty close to his sub count. And then he started picking up the shorts, and he started to leave a little bit. So he started going up. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And just give me 1 second here. Let me just get rid of that screen for a moment. So it says, yeah, that's interesting. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the shorts. So I sat down. I'm like, okay, well, I can just do very simple things within 60 seconds. Maybe it's sort of like, I was almost thinking about, well, what type of questions do I get in the chat? Let's just sort of take a question from the chat and do a short on it, because I can probably do that in 60 seconds. I know that Nate does a clip from his shows, so he just takes little clips. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted each of my shorts to be self-contained. And that's kind of the approach I took on them. So have they been working? Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting the way shorts work. Shorts are different. Like you put up when I drop a normal video, everybody comes and usually watches it within the first day. That's when I get the majority of my traffic. when I put a short up, and it'll do a little bit on the first day, but usually it's about the second day when the traffic starts hitting the shorts. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I'm not entirely sure why there's that delay with shorts, but they are absolutely great for growth. As the great Redbeard has said. Speaking of Redbeard, Redbeard has a channel, folks. And he has been doing some shorts. Just tonight, he did a short on some quotes from everybody's favorite dictator guy, Putin. And it's funny. Redbeard has this really funny personality to his channel. So if you guys have not been to Redbeard's world yet, then you need to check it out. He's got personality out the yin yang. It's really cool. All right. Now I was actually trying to say hi to everybody. So Jill says hi. Hi, Jill. And of course, Redbeard, we already know because we mentioned about his shorts. Oblique 784. Hey, all. And we got David in the house. And Mashuk Kazer. Thoughts on BlockFi interest account. Do you use it? Well, here's my thoughts. When I first learned about BlockFi, this was about a year ago, I moved my Bitcoin there because, hey, interest. I love interest. I did love it. I did. And I still think it has its place. The only problem is with me is that I like to have access to my money like right away. So if I can move my money quickly, I'm happy. The problem with BlockFi is, you'd have to put in a request and it would take days, absolute days to move my money. And I just couldn't do that. In addition to that, I've been a little bit concerned recently. I know about a few months ago, I got one of those things from BlockFi asking me for more information. And it turned out that it was sent from internal BlockFi, but it wasn't intended to go out, and they told everybody to ignore it. And it happened again just a couple of days ago. So I was just kind of like, So I've got a little bit of question marks on BlockFi. I still think they're secure. I think the biggest issue with them right now is just that amount of time that if you want to move your Bitcoin, and sometimes, and here's that thing, if you can see something coming and it's just a situation where you really, really want your money off of American soil and onto Canadian soil, or if you want into your hardware wallet, which is a great place for it, then it makes sense to maybe not have it on BlockFi. But at the same time, there's other services as well that offer interest, like Celsius, for example. I have not used Celsius, so I can't really give a lot of opinion on them. After I moved out of BlockFi, I moved into hardware, and I look at it this way. 10 years from now, the price of Bitcoin is going to be, I think it's going to be a lot higher than it is today. And whether or not I got 6% interest really isn't going to even be a splash in the bucket when it comes to that. So that's kind of my thoughts on BlockFi. But some people love it, and if you're not concerned with being able to move your Bitcoin fast, then it may be a perfect exchange for you. And good evening, Tim. And we got Dave D in the house. On BlockFi. Red Beer and his Viking shorts. That is funny. Oracle, don't you have Winnie the Pooh? I'm not entirely sure about Winnie the Pooh, but... and Tim Danter saying, BlockFi and Ledin just made an announcement for new rates as of March 1st. Ledin looking better, especially USDC. And I did get the email from BlockFi. I know they were changing a few of their notes. And then we have Sharab. Hi, Candace and all. And one more here. The friggin' Oracle. No, just winning over here. Just winning over here. Ha, ha, ha. Okay. So I know we started off with a somber note talking a little bit about the war. Let's not talk about war. I don't want to talk about war tonight because you know what? If you want to if you want to talk about war, you want to listen to war, just go to any single news broadcast and you will get your ears completely full up with it. So what I want to do is I want to look at, I want to talk a tiny bit about entrepreneurship right now. I have a funny little story that I kind of want to share, and it has to do with my first unofficial business. So most kids, and this happened when I was a kid, so most kids have lemonade stands. That's probably their first taste of business, or maybe they have a paper route. That's way too much work. Me, nah, I came up with something completely different. So me and the neighbor, we had went to the beach, and we had no money between the two of us, and well, we kind of wanted some stuff at the canteen. So I sat down and I said, okay, well, how can we make some money? And the neighbor, his name was Gary, he was like, I don't know. And I said, well, I've got an idea. So let's start gathering some seaweed. So off we went. We went up and down gathering seaweed, and we just brought it all, and we kept on building, and we built this big giant pile of seaweed. And then Gary was like, so what are we going to do with all the seaweed? I said, watch. So we approached a couple of guys who were sitting on the beach, and we said, hey, for 25 cents, we will throw seaweed at anybody you want. And they were like, really? I said, yeah, sure. So they had us throw seaweed at their girlfriends, and they paid us 25 cents. And so we kept doing it over and over, going up to different people on the beach. And each of them, they were paying us 25 cents. So we had enough money to do what we wanted. But this is where, of course, greed comes in. So we were like, oh, we're making half decent money doing this. Let's just keep doing it. And, excuse me, then this fateful moment happened. We approached a customer, a potential customer. We made our offer, and it was two guys, and they were like, because normally we found that the guys would pay us to throw at their girlfriends more than the girlfriends to throw at the boys. So they paid us. We headed over to do our thing. But by now, enough people had heard about this on the beach that the girls, when we were approaching them, they're like, we know what you're here to do, and we will pay you double if you throw it at them instead. So this is the big mistake. We kind of threw our customer loyalty right out the window, and we went back and threw it at them. They didn't take it very well. So Gary ended up being thrown into the pile of seaweed, and they threw me in the ocean. So, not like over my head or deep or anything, but so we kind of learned our lesson from that you sort of have to respect customer loyalty. We didn't, but on the bright side, we did have a really nice meal at the canteen. So, overall, it was still a successful little business. Now, you probably would not make a lot of money today doing that, because people, I think, probably wouldn't take it as well as back then. But it's kind of a neat little thing. All right, let's see who else we got here. We got Chris D. Alt. Hi, all. And I saw Saja up 300%. Holy banana bread. That's pretty good. And we got Riley Mack in the house. Hey, all. And David C. Who knew there was a market in the seaweed throwing business? And you know what? This here actually goes to say there was no market. We made our own market. And sometimes that's the best way to create a business is you find the need or you manufacture the need. And as long as people subscribe to the need, then you're going to be able to make a profit. So that's kind of a neat little thing. I guess this sort of ties a little bit into last week when we were talking about the side hustles with our good buddy Gary. That was a great show. I enjoyed that. So that's just one of those neat little things to sort of keep in mind is that there's always a lot of times people don't even know what they need. So a lot of times with business, you're going to create, or sometimes you're going to manufacture that need. And once people realize, then they'll be like, oh my God, I never realized that I didn't need that. So it's kind of a neat little way to, if you're the creative type. And well, if you ever watch like Shark's Tank or Dragon's Den, think those are the two names I've heard it by. That's general idea. Like these are people who are dreaming up completely. Sometimes they're good ideas and sometimes they're just really not, but they're running with it to see if they can actually do something with it, which would be kind of cool. So that's kind of the idea of that. Now, another thing too I wanted to talk about too is I want to talk a little bit about the metaverse. So over on Crypto Night in Canada, and those of you who do not know yet about Crypto Night in Canada, that is over on the Tim and Nancy Danter channel. So if you search Tim and Nancy Danter, then you can head over there and give them a quick subscribe and check their show out on Wednesday nights. So what they are doing is, well, what we're doing over there is we're doing like a top 10 top 10 crypto and a top 7 stocks metaverse, which is kind of cool. So it's a chance to sort of look at all of these things and see how the market is responding to them. Now, I've been saying for a while that, somebody needs to be playing this stuff, maybe showing you guys how it all works. And well, that's what I'm going to do. So starting tomorrow, and this is not going to be on YouTube, I'm actually going to be doing this on Twitch, and I will provide all of the information for my Twitch over on my Facebook page. So if you go over to Mountain Finance on Facebook, I'll have all of the information there for you on, I'll put links and stuff up. I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to start streaming around 4 o'clock Eastern. And, I don't know how long it's going to go. Probably a couple of hours. I don't see it going much longer than that. We're going to go in and take a look. I'm actually thinking of for the first game, and we're not going to play the same game all the time. I'm actually thinking of starting with DeFi Land, because DeFi Land is one that says you can start with absolutely nothing, and then you can earn your way to a play to earn. So I want to see how long that takes to do. So that's going to be kind of cool. Now, the reason I'm doing it on Twitch is one, according to the gurus at YouTube, if you put too many live streams up when you're still a young growing channel, it can actually hurt your growth a little bit. So I don't want to take that chance. Two, Twitch has, they're a gaming platform. So I'm going to be playing games with it. So I think that'll be kind of good. So games, and I'll be commentating on the way, and it'll be kind of neat. I'm also going to be able to use it as well to clip some stuff out of it to make some future metaverse videos. Because I know the Patreon video of basically every month in Patreon, people can vote on which video they want for the last one of the month. So it can be whatever they want. And this time around, it is actually a metaverse video. So that'll be Monday. Monday, we're going to have Anatomy of the Metaverse. So that'll be interesting to see. I might even take some clips out of this, even for that video as well. So that'll be tomorrow. That's going to be very, very cool. So over on Twitcheroni or Twitch. So that'll be cool. I don't even know what my username is right now. It's like WebGirl something. So I'll probably just use that account instead of creating a separate one. But that'll be Twitch tomorrow, and that'll be very, very cool. Metaverse. Okay. And I'm just trying to think too here. So one of the things too, once we get a little bit into it too, and we have a chance to sort of look at a few different metaverse games, I'll probably then start letting you guys decide what I'm playing next. So maybe we'll do like a poll or something over on the Facebook group just to see, hey, here's 5 different games. Which ones do you guys want to see me play? Because that way there, you guys will get to be able to, if you're interested in Axie Infinity, maybe I'll be playing Axie Infinity. Or if you're interested in Magic, maybe I'll be playing Magic. So there's, or I know there's a few people who are very much into Wilder World. So I have a feeling that one could also be one that gets done down the line as well. So that's going to be kind of cool. All right. So that's a metaverse. And that'll be awesome. All right. Now, one of the things I was also going to do, because this is tonight's like basically hodgepodge night. So anything goes. So I am going to actually drop the link here to see if anybody wants to jump in and talk a bit. Well, they're more than welcome, because that is how hodgepodge sort of comes. Yeah, it'll be kind of neat that way. So that was, I talked to you about, I talked to you about the seaweed, so that was kind of cool. I wanted to also talk about salary negotiations. Like I said, hodgepodge, we could be going anywhere. So I have only done one salary negotiation in my life. And it's really interesting. At the time, I was working at an internet company, which was cool. It was kind of neat. I was the trainer, and they were actually looking to go for a national training manager. So I'd apply for it because I had helped build the training department from the ground up. So I thought I stood a good chance. And well, I was right. I was hired for the national manager position, but that meant I had to go into a salary negotiation, and I had never been in a salary negotiation. No idea what I was doing. So I went in, and I didn't know what to expect. And at the time, as a trainer, I was making honestly, about 24,000 a year. It wasn't very. This company that I was working for, they did not pay very well. So I was going in with 24,000 under my belt already. And so the guy who I was going to be reporting to, his name was Clarence. And so he looked at me and he was like, okay. And he says, we think you're the best fit. We're prepared to make an offer to you. I said, okay, sure. And so he says, so we'll offer you 40,000. I was like, in my head, I'm like, holy banana bread. That's awesome. I was like, that was almost doubling my money. So I made a sound. And luckily, this guy couldn't read the fact that I was tickled over the moon with 40,000. He actually misinterpreted it as being that I wasn't happy. And he instantly countered again. And he was just like, okay, he says, look, I can't go higher than 50. That's my final offer. And I was just like, what the hell just happened in my head? I'm like, so I composed myself right away. And I said, I think 50 can work. And so, that there was like, it was just friggin' awesome. That's like one of those things about going into a salary negotiation and you're not really knowing what happens. Now, mind you, I am pretty cool under pressure. And it's one of the reasons I do really well at interviews. Now, in that role, interestingly enough, I used to interview a lot of people. So it's really neat to see the mistakes that people make in an interview. And there's some classic mistakes people make. I had one guy, he came in for the interview. He sat there. I'm starting, just as an interviewer, I try to match them. So, if they're crossed like this, I'll maybe cross a little bit. Because, the more you mirror the person, it tends to make them a little bit more at ease. Well, all of a sudden, he pulls up this bag. He opens it up, pulls out a sandwich, and starts eating right there in the interview. I'm like, oh, I mean, I composed myself and did the interview anyway. I just couldn't believe that somebody would just pull out their lunch and just start eating it in the interview. Now, it would be a little bit different. Now, if I was in a situation that I had an interview, let's say I had 2 commitments and it was the only place I could eat, and I absolutely had to eat, how I would approach that is, well, one, I would never let that happen. But let's just say for a medical reason, you had to eat at that time. I would just give heads up to the interviewer, be like, look, I've only got this small window and I really apologize. But I have to eat. I have a doctor's note because I have to eat at a specific time because of, let's say I've got not diabetes, but something. That would be fine. That would actually be really good. And then other big ones at interviews. I had somebody once kicking me under the table. So I'm just sitting there and I'm trying to do the interview, and this person just keeps on kicking. And I guess I can't really show you here because, you can't see my foot kicking, but they just kept kicking me. And I was just like, what the heck is going on? Then I had this other guy, and this was actually interesting. The interview went well. And when I asked him at the end if he had any questions for me, he decided he wanted to give a statement. Now, he happened to, uh, I don't want to use the word disabled, but he had some issues because he had like some crutches and stuff. And he got up and gave this big long speech about discrimination, and how he was upset that I wasn't going to hire him because of it, because of his disability, or because he had to use these crutches. And after he finished, I said, please sit down. I said, look, the fact that you have to use crutches, that's not what I'd be hiring you for. I'd be hiring you for the way your mind works. And in this case, luckily, he gave a great interview up until that moment. And I just said to him, I said, look, just don't do this type of stuff anymore. I'll assess you on your merit, and I'm going to give you the job, even though that little performance at the end maybe question it a little bit, but I could tell that you're very smart, and I want to see what you can do. So that was kind of just some of the weird things you get in interviews, and sometimes you get some really bad answers. One of the standard questions we used to always ask is, what is your biggest weakness? And some of the answers I would get, I had this one guy, he said to me, I've got anger issues. My anger gets out of control a lot, but I'm trying to control it, but it gets out of control. I'm just like, what? What are you trying to control your anger for? And it just never, he obviously didn't get hired. Probably the best answer I ever got is I asked somebody what their weakness was, and they said, coffee. Totally addicted to caffeine. And I was just like, I can respect that. So it's interesting. If you're ever doing an interview and you get that question, here's my answer. My answer to that is, I personally love my weaknesses, because when I have a weakness, it means I have an area that I can actually work. It's an opportunity to grow and improve myself. And then I may use it, for example, excuse me, I may use an example where I'll be like, well, I used to be one of these people that because I'm really efficient, I used to, not include as much people in as I should, but I've been really working on that to really foster a lot more teamwork. So it's kind of like you're hitting keywords as you're answering your questions. And what are you ever responsible for budgeting in any of your jobs? Well, there's a lot of different jobs I've had where budgeting in one way or another came in. I used to run a department at a superstore, and I had to do pretty much all my own budgeting. Well, not so much budgeting, but more or less that was more accounting, to be honest. A lot of it was making sure everything I ordered arrived, and then signing off on things so that they could get paid. That would then go off to the accountant. But budgeting, and this is kind of an interesting thing, I did have a salary budget. So I had to, and that was a bit of a balance, because the problem is I couldn't just use the salary budget the way I wanted to. I had to take into consideration a lot of things. One, I had to take into consideration how long or how much seniority everybody had. So the person with the highest seniority had to get the most hours, and it would work down that way. And those were union rules, so there wasn't really any way for me to move around it, which is kind of sad. And the reason it was sad is the union was kind of like, they were a thorn. When you're in management, a union can be a thorn. And part of it was I inherited this department. I had some people who had been in it for a long time who were no short of a word, they were slackers. It's like I would give them a task to do, and they would, I don't even know if they tried to do it. Usually, what ended up happening is I was out of hours, I was out of budget, so I would have to come in on my own time and then fix whatever it was that they just didn't do correctly. And the problem with the union is that it was very hard to get rid of people. And a lot of it was like, well, they have to make the exact same mistake 3 times to be able to fire them. And I was like, oh, 3 times. And sometimes, even though it's the same thing, the union had a way of twisting it so that it was just slightly not the same thing. Yeah, like not doing your job in aisle A is completely different than not doing your job in aisle B, for example. But that's just kind of the way the union worked. And it was the bane of my existence for that simple reason. I had a lot of really hard workers who just didn't have the seniority. And so I couldn't give them the amount of hours that I really would have liked to. But anyway, that's a little bit about budgeting. And then I think you're asking the exact same question here. All right. So that's a little bit with the idea of budgeting. An interesting story though as well from the superstore. There was one exception where I was allowed to fire somebody right away. One of the things, I ran the leisure department, so I had all of the aisles. I had office furniture, pens, stationery, and all of the seasonal stuff, and then magazines and stuff like that. So when Christmas time, we would have a tree lot outside, and that was pure profit because they didn't pay me a lot, but I got a small cut of the profits. So that was a big time of year. And with the Christmas tree lot, the way it worked is the trees had a tag on it. So a person would come, they'd pick a tree. The associate out there would give them the tag. They would go in, they'd pay for it, bring out the receipt. Associate would give them the tree. Well, I had this associate who decided to be an entrepreneur. So instead of giving them the tag, he was just like, yeah, this is a $20 tree. He would just take the $20, pocket it, and give the person the tree. So at one point, one of the customers came in to make change for the tree lot. And so then security contacted me and said, they said, we got a customer that's trying to make change for the tree lot. And I'm like, well, that's odd. There's no need for that to happen. So at that point, we got this guy by the name of Alan. We sent him out undercover. He was another manager, but the people who I'd hired for the tree lot wouldn't know the inside managers because they didn't work inside. So we sent Alan out. And so Alan went in and said, oh, I want to buy the tree. And the guy was like, oh, it's $20. And Alan was like, oh, I only got $10. And then the guy actually said, oh, yeah, that's okay. Here, just take the tree. I'll take your $10. I'll make it up in the till. Don't worry. Well, then later that day, of course, we had the police swoop in and arrest him. And then the highlight of my manager career is he's sitting in our conference room. There's 2 police officers there. He's in handcuffs. And I walk into the room and I say to him, I hope you know this also means you're fired. Oh, I still have a warm heart. Just saying that. And that was kind of the highlight. It was the first time that the union was not in my way. And this was a person who, he cost me a lot of money, but it's not even that. It's just the fact that if I hire somebody, it's usually because I want to give them a chance, right? I want to help them out. And when somebody then sort of betrays that, it's not that you take it personally. It's just that it kind of sucks. So that's kind of a neat little story anyway about that. So hodgepodge, that's what happens. We end up going everywhere. So if you guys got any topics you guys want me to talk about, throw them in the chat. You guys are being a lot more quiet than normal. It might be that either I'm I've put half of you to sleep, or I'm really interesting. I'm not entirely sure which one it is, but it could be one of the two. All right. Well, let's go to another topic. So I spent a summer in Florida, and that's kind of an interesting story. So how this had happened is I used to go online and I used to actually chat with people in this chat room. I used to go in and just sort of, I used to like to help people a lot. So I'd go in and I would just sort of help out. And I started getting into, because I was very interested in psychology. So I started getting into sort of, doing sort of amateur counseling just to sort of help cheer people up that were dealing with different, psychological issues. 'Cause I've had a lot of friends with psychological issues, so I kind of got a good idea of what's going on. So this one chat room, um, I had helped a whole bunch of people. This guy had a problem with a girlfriend who was anorexic, and so I gave him tons of advice. And so he was like, "Excuse me, this is where I have a coffee." See, normally when I've got a guest on, they can talk, and I can just have as much. Oh, look, it's half invisible this time, and I can have as much coffee as I want. But when I'm doing all the talking, I kind of don't have as many opportunities to, to hit the caffeine. But anyway, okay, so this guy, his name was Bill, and so I helped him out. And then a little bit later, I was talking to a girl in another chat room, and I was mentioning that I wanted to write a book because I've written a book, and she's like, "Well, what's holding you back?" I said, "Well, I really think the story needs to be set in Florida, but I've never lived in Florida, so it makes it really hard." And she was like, "Well, I live in Florida. You can come just stay with me for a while." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Well, I'd love to, but I'm poor. I've got no money." So then this Bill guy, all of a sudden out of the blue, he was like, "Candace." I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "What's the closest international airport to you?" And I was like, "The Halifax International Airport." He says, "Okay." He says, "Let me take care of everything. I'll FedEx you the tickets." And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, that's a little odd." I was like, "Are you sure?" And he says, "Well, yeah." He says, "All the advice you really helped me with my girlfriend. I am very, very grateful. And this is a way I can pay you back." I was like, "Okay, sure." So, gave him my address. And sure enough, a few days later, FedEx came by with these airplane tickets. So I was like, "Okay." Now, I'd never been out of Halifax. And all of a sudden, I'm going to Florida. My mom's like, "You're going to get killed." I'm like, "No, I'm not. This is not the type of place that, like serial killers are out looking for victims." I'm like, "Trust me." So, I flew to all the way down to Orlando, and I met Bill in Orlando because he's going to drive me up to Gainesville. First thing I did when I got off the plane, though, was like, I'd never seen a palm tree before. And I was like, "Oh my God, it's a palm tree." It's like on Gilligan's Island. It's like cool. So I had to hug it. So I hugged the tree. I'm not a tree hugger by nature, but I did this time. And then Bill was interesting. He kind of looked like he looked a lot like Scott Bakula. I was like, "Do you know that you look like Scott Bakula?" And he says, "I've heard that before." And so anyway, as we're driving up to Gainesville, I was like, he was like, "Well, you know what I do for a living?" I was like, "No." He says, "Well, I work for NASA." I said, "Oh, well, what do you do for NASA?" And he's like, "Well, the countdown clock." He says, "My team, we're the ones who designed it." I was like, "Oh, well, that's really cool." So he drove me up there, left me in Florida, and I was with my friend Mandy there for a while, and spent an entire summer there. Most people don't go to Florida in the summer, except for me. And then, of course, while I'm in Florida, I have all these interesting things. Like one thing I was really fascinated with was alligators. And part of the reason for that is I had planned to have alligators in this book I was going to write. So probably about a weekend, she was like, "Well, where do you want to go? What do you want to see the most in Florida?" And I said, "Alligators." She's like, "Oh, okay. All right. Well, I know a place." So she had borrowed her friend's car, and she drove me out to the swamp. And there was a little walkway that you could walk out on, almost like a floating boardwalk. But there had been a lot of rain just before the beginning of the summer, so it was a little flooded. So the beginning part of the walkway was submerged, but you had to jump over it. So we jumped over the water. We went on the walkway, and we're out there. I'm looking around, and I'm not impressed. It's just, it's just water, and it's kind of swampy. And some of the trees are interesting. And then she goes, "There's one." I'm like, "Where? Where?" She says, "Over there." "Where?" Well, I'm looking hard, and I see these two little balls on the water. I'm like, "Oh, well, that's not very impressive." But sure enough, that was my first alligator. However, as we're heading back, there were more people who were on the walkway, and they're all congealed near the front. And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" So we walk up there, and there's this big giant alligator. It pulled itself up on the bank, blocking the front of the walkway. And it's like, this thing was easily 6 feet. It was big. And everybody's sort of standing back, just watching it. And I was like, "Oh, okay, now that's more like it." So looking at it, and finally, after about 5 minutes of looking at it, I said, "Okay, I've seen enough." And nobody's moving. So I just walked straight up to the thing, and I'm like, "Shoo, shoo, come on, get out of my way." And it went back into the water. And like, people are looking at me like I'm crazy. And perhaps I was a little bit, but she comes up to me and she says, "That's how people lose arms in Florida." I was like, "Oh, really?" I said, "Where I'm from in Nova Scotia, we're always taught that the animals are more afraid of us than we are of them." And she's like, "Yeah, this is not Nova Scotia." So that was my whole big story with that was my whole big story when it comes to Florida. So I did spend a summer there. I got a chance to experience a lot of the weather, and alligators and things like that. So it was really fantastic. And I also really understood humidity. Plus, I used to be petrified of little insects, but in Florida, the insects are so much bigger. After that, the little insects up here in Canada don't bug me as much. So that is kind of a neat little thing. All right, now somebody's popping in a question here. And Jill says, "What do you think will happen with the Bank of Canada next interest rate update in March? And how do you think the markets will respond?" Okay, well, I did touch a little bit on that moment earlier, but I don't think they're not going to do it this time around. Excuse me. I know that some people think that, because of what's happening over with Russia and Ukraine, some of the financial, helping out, like sending money to help Ukraine, that might, that might make the Fed and the Bank of Canada maybe think of holding things back a little bit. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we can afford to go any deeper down the inflation hole. So I think the Bank of Canada uh, will definitely raise it. Um, the SEC, sometimes they do some weird things. Sometimes the Fed in, the SEC, but sometimes the Fed in the US, sometimes they do some odd things. I still think they're going to raise it. People will panic a little bit when they realize that it's going to go up, and you'll probably see some red days as a result. But it'll stabilize, and it's going to stop the inflation. I mean, raising these interest rates, maybe if you're if you right now have a lot of debt, it may not be the best for you. But I think for the economy, it's probably going to be better because we know it has to happen. And we can't just go on forever with next to no interest. And we just can't keep on letting inflation get so far out of control. So that's kind of where I sit and where I think is going to happen. But keep in mind too, in all fairness, I thought they were going to do it last time too. I thought it was going to be a very small one. I thought they were going to do something like 0.25%, but then it was a big nothing for both. So maybe it'll be a big nothing again. But I'm thinking a quarter to a full 0.5%, probably. If they want to go conservatively. So that's what that'll be. I'm going to say, I'll say a quarter in Canada, 0.5% in the US. That'll be my guess. I'm probably wrong. But that's my guess anyway. And what else do you want to know? So Jill says, "Do you think that the countries that are trying to get Russia banned from using SWIFT will be successful?" It's hard to say. I mean, here's the thing, though. Russia, just before, now keep in mind, they didn't just wake up a week ago and say, maybe we should invade Iran. Maybe we should invade Ukraine. This has been something they've been planning for a long time. And it's really interesting, too. One of the things I found really interesting now with hindsight is before this all began, the whole Bitcoin thing, when the bank in Russia came out and said, yeah, we want to ban Bitcoin, and Putin just out of the blue just came in and said, no, you will not be banning Bitcoin. In fact, we will have Bitcoin regulated within a week, and it was. Which makes me think that that's been part of his plan from the beginning when it comes to Bitcoin. I think, he knew that when he did this, he was going to get a lot of sanctions, and I think Bitcoin is a walk around. It is a workaround to some of these sanctions. Not to say that we should just all ban Bitcoin right now because it's helping Russia. It's also helping Ukraine too. So it's kind of one of those things. Bitcoin's not evil. It's just how it's used. And honestly, even if the Russia does use Bitcoin to sort of circumvent some of these securities, everything they do will be permanently in the blockchain. So, at a future date, they can certainly be held accountable for that. So that's kind of a neat little thing when it comes to our good old buddies at the Kremlin. All right, I'm going to drop this out here one more time. So if anybody does want to come on board, they are more than welcome. And all right, so that there was. So, okay, Hodgepodge means that we're coming up with all kinds of different stories. I know we haven't talked a lot about finance tonight, and I think part of it is I was kind of thinking, like, the reason I have no guests is because I asked nobody. And with the way the world's been going, I kind of thought it would be just kind of nice to have a more laid back stream, not going into too much depth, not going, okay, Ken's going to join us here momentarily. Excuse me. Let me have a coffee. He's making a coffee. I'm going to drink a coffee. Well, not just a sip. And we got Daryl in the house. Hey, Candace. Hey, Daryl. Daryl's pretty awesome. He's one of these people who invested a good amount into the oil sector before everything happened. So he has done well. He's also a fellow Nova Scotian. So we got a few Nova Scotians in the family, which is good. Oh, look at this. Daryl signed his friend up for ShakePay today. Very cool. So if you guys don't have ShakePay yet, heck, how have you been in the community this long without having it would be the first question. Second question, or not second question, but if you do want to get it, there's affiliate links down below for ShakePay and Wealthsimple. Oh, Wealthsimple I have. Let me pull it up. I have my ticker for Wealthsimple. Now, if you're new to the community and you've already signed up for Wealthsimple, you can still get 2 free stocks. Just use that 8_BZ-G code, and they will give you 2 free stocks. Now, if you signed up a year ago, I think it's more than 30 days ago, they probably won't honor it because it's usually within the first 30 days that they honor it. Now, let me turn that off because there we go. That was the banner. I also have, I think I have another one too. Oh yeah, I got that one there. So there we go. As I made a couple. Excuse me, I should make some overlays. So I don't yet have, my tongue is just not working tonight. I don't have any overlays yet. So I'm going to look into doing a little bit of that. Sign my friend up. Okay, we got that one. Hi, Tim. And got a few more people who are down to it. Family, etc. Daryl's making a killing. Not bad. Whoops, we already said hi to Tim. Oh, and let's bring in, hey, Journey. I put him up here, and we're going to bring in the drinking man, otherwise known as the Oracle.
I like my coffee.
And well, now go ahead. I just realized my headphones were in the whole time, so I couldn't hear, but I didn't need to hear.
I like my coffee.
You like your coffee.
I like my coffee.
What's going on with this thing that was up 300% today?
Oh, I can't talk about that. That's secret.
Oh, is it secret?
It's secret.
Oh dear. So you heard about it.
We'll just say it's a coin that I invested into a couple of months ago, and well, here we are.
And it went up 300%.
I'll get into it on the freaking Oracle show.
Okay, but let me ask this: did you go in $1,000?
Yeah, it was. We'll just say it was a failed project that got reborn by the same dev, new contract address and everything.
Very cool. So you made a little bit of money on that one.
No, I'm still down.
Oh, oh, that absolutely sucks. Now, did you were you here earlier for my first little business, the seaweed business?
I think I might have missed that part. I seen something in the comments about throwing seaweed or something.
Yeah. So what was your first little, did you have any side business as a kid, like a paper route? No.
I wasn't allowed to do nothing when I was a kid. I wasn't allowed to have my own money.
Oh, really? Oh.
I wasn't allowed to deliver penny saver flyers. I wasn't allowed to have a paper route. I wasn't allowed to do this. My parents' excuse was, well, you'll get tired of doing it, and then we'll end up doing it for you. Mm-hmm. But, the routes were only like a half an hour to 40 minutes after school, like I was like, oh, whatever. Fine then.
Oh, you see, I had a paper route after that when I was a little bit older. Mine was a morning paper route. So I had to do it like I had to basically, if I had to go to school at 8, I needed to be out delivering newspapers, by between 5 and 6.
Oh, I got a story for you on that.
Oh, yeah.
My wife, Natasha, she's sleeping right now, but that's one thing she did for one of her friends. She was delivering Globe and Mail, some other newspaper, and then some like Chinese newspaper in Sarnia here. And she would have to be there at like 5:30 to meet the van with everybody else to grab her stack of papers and go deliver them. Well, we were working in the call center at the time until 1 a.m. and then she had to do papers at 5.
Oh,
that was, yeah, it only lasted for about 3 weeks, and then she ended up sleeping in. And yeah, although the one time it was funny, we took her dog. She had a beagle at the time, named Dipper. We took him with us, and he got car sick, and he vomited all over the papers in the back seat. It was hilarious.
Wow. It's like, what's in the news? I don't know. It smells bad to me.
Yeah, I know, eh?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she did that. It was about 3 weeks she lasted, and then she was like, I can't do this anymore. It was $1,000 a month cash free, but you were delivering papers 6 days a week for 2.5, 3 hours in the morning kind of thing.
Okay.
Which isn't bad if you have nothing else going on.
Yeah.
Or you don't work until later. If you can rearrange your sleep schedule to match all that, then it's not so bad.
Well, the nice thing when I had my paper route is that was back when there wasn't a Sunday paper.
Yeah. Well, she didn't do a Sunday paper. It was Monday through Saturday. So, but it was tax free. They'd give you an envelope with cash. I was like, man, this is sketch. This is very sketchy.
You see, what really sucked with mine is that I had to actually go and collect. So once a week, I'd have to go and ring the doorbells of all these people and ask them for the paper money. And then if somebody decides, oh, well, I'll pay you next week, then it was like, oh, there goes part of my money. Because then I had to still pay the same amount to the Chronicle Herald.
Right. Yeah, but when you do collections, you have a better chance of getting
tips.
Like tips, right? Versus monthly payment already made to the description, right? So there's ups and downs to it, right? Plus and minuses to it.
Yeah. And Jill did the penny saver, and she says that was super annoying.
I had lots of friends that did it, and in the end, they all ended up just taking their whole bundle of papers, just throwing them in a dumpster somewhere. They're just like, forget this.
Now, believe it or not, one thing I was really good at as a kid is selling chocolate bars.
I did that for Cubs, I think.
Yeah. Well, I did it once for the school because they were going to give a trip or something to whoever sold the most. I came in number 2.
Oh, yes. We did that for our grade 8 graduation.
Oh, wow.
Part of the cost, because we went to Toronto. We went to the organ grinder for dinner, which was kind of neat. We got to see the Blue Jays and the Tigers play. We went to Ontario Science Center. And then we went somewhere else. And this is the first time I was in a city that you see those signs that say no standing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was for hookers.
Oh,
I thought prostitutes weren't allowed to stand on that side of the street.
Okay. Well, here's a funny story. In high school, like grade 9, I thought that I would like cross country because when I heard about cross country running, I thought it was like running cross country through the woods, like jumping over logs and stuff like that. And I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. So I signed up. I went, and they ran on the road. I'm like, what is this? What is this BS? I want to run through the woods. They're like, no, it's not this. And I was like, well, okay, this is just not for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just wanted one of the hoodies. And they're like, well, you got to be on the team to be a hoodie. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I don't get a hoodie. And then about a week later, the guy who ran it, they were trying to raise some funds for some stuff.
Right.
So I then approached him. I said, so let's renegotiate the hoodie. He says, what do you mean? I said, look, I may not want to run on the road, but I can sell chocolate bars like nobody else can. And he was like, really? I said, yeah. And he was like, okay, well, sure you can. I said, look, give me a full box. I'll sell them all tonight. He says, if you can sell them all tonight, I will pay for your hoodie. I said, yeah, okay. I went out and I spent 6 hours going door to door selling chocolate bars. Damn. And I sold every single one and I got my free hoodie.
Well, it wasn't free. It cost you in the end. You had to actually go door to door, but
and I think the funny thing is that when I used to sell chocolate bars, I would give my entire speech in a single breath. So it'd be something along the lines of this. Let's try this here. Hi there. Would you like to purchase a chocolate bar? It's for our school. We're trying to go on a school trip, but we need funding to be able to pay for the trip and to get everybody there on time. So they're not very expensive, but if you could just buy one, it would really help the community. Just keep going. And at the end of it, sometimes people are like, holy cow, how did you do that all in one breath? I couldn't even do my example in one breath, but I was just, and a lot of times people would buy just for that. And one time I went to this one door and the guy's like, oh man, that's amazing. I'm buying one. He says, let me bring you into my girlfriend and can you give her that same speech? I said, sure. And then she bought one.
Hey, that works, right?
Yeah. And the funny thing is he was actually, when I was giving the second speech, he was holding me in the air like that as I gave the second speech. So I was either going to make another sale or I was about to get horribly killed. I am wasn't sure which until it was over. So
Tim Carroll has a question for you.
Oh, Tim. How do you add money to the credit card for ShakePay? Really easy. So Tim, all you have to do is with ShakePay, when you do a bank transfer into ShakePay, it goes into the Canadian cash part. Just leave it there. And ShakePay has full access to anything in the Canadian cash. Or if you have, in my case, what I do is I keep a certain amount of Bitcoin on it. So then if I do want to buy something, let's say I want to buy some leggings for $40 or $20, I then will cash out $20 worth of Bitcoin into the cash part and just use that for my transaction. But that's all there is to it. And it's really simple. And it takes, for the money you get from your bank over to ShakePay, usually happens like less than 5 minutes for me. So a pretty easy way to use it.
Yeah, I do the e-transfer thing and it takes within a minute. Yeah. I'm getting a pop-up on my phone that,
exactly. And
whatever Canadian funds.
Well, the funny thing is, Scotiabank used to be like within 5 minutes. And then my EQ bank used to take about 30 minutes, but now my EQ bank, they did some upgrades on EQ. The EQ bank is like almost less than a minute. It's like bang, it's there.
Nice.
And Scotiabank is still about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm with a credit union, so they're usually pretty quick on everything for some reason.
Okay.
I guess less red tape, I guess. I don't know. All I know, excuse me, all I know is if I go to send funds through an e-transfer out of my savings account, they charge me $1.50. So so you got to log in and transfer your money from savings to checkings and then send it through checkings, then it costs me nothing. An extra step, but whatever.
Oh yes. Kind of interesting. Keep in mind, folks, the 1st of March is Tuesday. So if you're looking to move any money into your RRSP to help with taxes from last year, you've hit that last few days to get that done. So that's kind of an important date. Now you've got all of March to get your taxes done. So, and just, I think I mentioned this already, next week, next Saturday night, Nate Palmatier will be on the show, and the whole show is going to be all about taxes. So it will be a tough show to do. It may be a little taxing.
Oh, and March 1st at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they will be releasing a SATA Realty token on the SATA mask.
Oh, okay. So, and SATA Realty, it actually does sound pretty interesting. I was, well, you probably saw me over at the AMA the other day.
Yeah.
So
it's very interesting. It's pretty interesting, isn't it?
It does. It sounds. Now I missed the first half of that AMA. I got in a little bit late because I didn't realize it was going, and I was like, "Oh dear."
No, they got some good ideas with another LLC, right? So.
No, I like the idea. I am very much liking the idea of fractional real estate and everything in that kind of vicinity where you're giving people who don't have the outrageous amounts it costs for real estate to be able to at least get in and, make a little bit of money off of real estate. Because it's an asset class that's almost out of reach for people. So.
Yeah, well, that's why Ryan was asking me yesterday, well, why would you use that to buy into real estate? There's other avenues to do that. And it's like, well, this is the first step this is intertwining crypto into real estate. Like, yeah, this is the first step of what people have said they're going to do. They're actually doing it. So,
yeah, no, that's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all.
You get reflections on their tokens for staking as well. And as long as you're staking, you get a percentage of 50% of the rent that they collect every 6 months. It gets redistributed to every holder, right? So
it'll be interesting to see if there's any kind of tax ramifications for that. Because when you think about a REIT, so real estate investment trust, they're basically not paying taxes. That's why they pay half decent dividends. They're passing the tax burden on to you.
Right.
So it'll be interesting because this almost sounds like it's working in a similar way, but I don't know tax wise, because where's crypto, it may be doing the same thing, but it may not. There may be no legislation in place for it yet.
Yeah, because I don't know whether what they're gonna do is take your 50% and buy back tokens and then redistribute realty tokens to you, or whether they're just gonna convert to ETH and then drop everybody some ETH. He didn't say. I would assume it would probably be buyback tokens to help keep the pricing level, right? So
yeah. Exactly. And Jill was, actually before Jill, Tim said, "Thanks, I only use ShakePay for shaking that way." Absolutely.
Now he has another way to use ShakePay.
Exactly. And they still pay 2% back in Satoshis when you're spending. So that's not a bad amount to get back. And especially right now when Bitcoin is cheap, that 2%, it's going to grow really, really fast as Bitcoin recovers in the second half of that channel. So definitely something to look at. Jill says it looks actually really interesting. I think she's talking about the Satama Realty. and he just disappeared. But that's what I think. I think she was talking about. To me, it does. I mean, it does make a lot of sense.
Sorry, we have like a foam mat at the kitchen sink, and our cat likes to rip it apart.
Oh, the new cat, the kitten.
No, the middle cat.
How many cats do you have?
3.
Oh, okay, that's a reasonable number.
Yeah, 3 cats and a dog. It used to be 3 cats and 2 dogs.
Yeah.
And then it used to actually be 1 cat and 2 dogs because 2 of our cats passed away.
Oh.
And then we got 2 more because 3 is a good number, right?
3 is. I think once you go to 4 cats, then you start getting into cat crazy person territory.
Yeah, I think 4 is the limit.
Yeah, but 3, I think 3 you're okay. 4 questionable. More than 4, then you're 100% crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the Seda Realty, you have to have Satama tokens in Seda Mask, and what you do is you do a swap Satama tokens for Seda Realty tokens.
Okay, so you don't have to put any ETH in with it, just Satama?
You might need some ETH for gas fees. I'm still not sure how the swap's going to work. If it's going to work like other swaps where nothing's final until you pull your tokens out, like on Coinbase and Binance and whatever. It's a platform that's up here where you trade. There's no ETH fees. You just pay that 0.1%, right? But once you withdraw, that's when you get hit with the fees, right? So I'm not sure if the swap is going to run the same way or not. But I would have some ETH in there just to be safe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Gas fees have been really cheap lately, under $50. So
well, that's not bad. That's not bad at all, actually.
That's better than 250.
Yeah, oh, that's a lot better than 250. Is it still now? That's middle of the day type fees.
Yeah, I used it the other day, and it was only 30.
Oh wow!
Well, when I sold my Koa Combat, that was 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I paid $31 or something like that.
That's not bad considering you made 10K. I'm like, it's like, oh, I just made 10K. I suppose you could have $31 in gas.
Well, I told people about this token before.
And
you got to do your own due diligence. If people would have done their own due diligence, they would have been like, oh, look, it failed, but they're doing a relaunch in 3 weeks, and it's going to be a pre-sale, and it's going to be on Unicrypt. Oh, this is very secure. That's what you're supposed to do. That's your due diligence part.
And here's the thing. I mean, the reason they call you the Oracle is because you tend to be right. Let's just put that out there.
My JC token and my Sanjay token were like crap. They were rug pulls in the end. But now look at them, JC relaunched. I'm sitting at like 3K in profit. And then Sanjay just relaunched again 3 o'clock this afternoon or something.
Well, sometimes patience can definitely make
my tokens I had was like 54 trillion tokens, and they airdropped me 62 trillion tokens. And if I look at the chart right now, my 56 trillion on the old contract is worth $7 out of $1,000. It's worth $7.
Wow.
Yeah, that's American, so it's like $9 Canadian.
Yeah, it depends on the time of the day, right?
Yeah, and now it's around $500-$600. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. That does make a lot of sense. I've got a few stocks now in going through my Wealthsimple US accounts. So I'm really kind of liking the US accounts on Wealthsimple.
Nice.
It's just
a bigger market, right?
It is a bigger market. I know there are CDRs for a lot of the bigger companies, but some companies, they don't have CDRs for them. And some of them, there's a lot of great opportunities that way. And what's great is that it's commission.
You own direct, right? So there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's commission free. That's a beautiful thing. You look at any other US account, they're not commission free.
Right.
So that's not bad. And, I've just been finding it really, really, really awesome. So I know I have a REIT actually in the US that I'm invested into, and it made me think of it because of when we're talking about Satama Realty. That was very, very cool.
That was a question that was brought up in either that AMA or another one, asking Russ. It wasn't on that one. It was a live voice chat on Twitter, on a Twitter space, whether it's going to be a REIT or not. And he wasn't sure exactly how it was going to pan out because
Okay.
the legal team's still working on it.
And that's exactly what I was kind of getting at, is that it sounds like a REIT. So I can understand where that question would have came from.
Yeah.
And Tim wants to know, what do you think of Shiba?
Personally, myself, Shiba was a token to provide liquidity for their swap. Their swap's out. So as far as I'm concerned personally, Shiba's done its job. They have the NFTs coming out, which you need to own Leash for. So there's the purpose of Leash. And then their Bone token is going to be used as the payment token on their blockchain, Shibarium. So,
and Dave Z is saying Shiba is entering the metaverse.
Yes, they are.
Well, you never know. Maybe there'll be a resurgence in the metaverse, but
yeah, the metaverse is kind of flopped right now. It's, I don't know. I'm hearing a lot of metaverse stuff, but I'm not seeing anything tangible yet.
Yeah.
You have all these realms that are still taking a pre-order for land, right? And it's just like, hurry up.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it too is just the overall environment right now. Everything has just gone horribly wrong, from the whole Ukraine thing to what's happening in the tech sector. So there's a lot of stumbling blocks that nobody anticipated. But on the bright side, I will be in there tomorrow playing a game in the metaverse on Twitch. So anybody who did not hear that earlier, over on the Facebook page, I will be releasing the Twitch information for that stream tomorrow. It'll be starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we will be playing a game. And actually, I think we're starting off with DeFi Land.
Nice.
DeFi Land is one where you can play absolutely free, no investment up front, and you start as a free player, and then you earn up to the tier to play to earn tier. So I want to see how long that takes. And, you guys will all get to see this as well. It may be a very boring game. I don't know. I know nothing. Here's the funny thing. Jill was like, are you going to go in a little bit later? And I was like, I got distracted. Rye came in. Hi, Rye. And he said, I saw congrats on 400. I'm like, wait, what? Did I hit 400?
I know. I kind of looked down at it too, and I was just kind of ignoring it.
And I was reading again, almost 400. Okay, yeah. Well, we're in the 490s. So, but anyway, yeah. So Jill wanted to know if I was going to get things all set up and go in and and then start off that way. And I was like, no, I want to show people who want to come. People who come at 4, you're going to actually see me going through the registration, setting it up right from scratch. We're going to go in there. That way you can sort of see the whole process. And also I want to kind of film the whole process so that I can break it apart and make some videos out of it as well. So that's going to be cool. I figured I'd go a little bit earlier. So 4 o'clock, maybe it'll go to 6, maybe it'll go to 7. Who knows? Maybe it's really fun and I'll lose track of the time. And next thing you know, I'll be breaking Ken's record and he'll be like, no. I doubt that'll happen, but you never know.
Don't you threaten me. I'll do it. I'll break your record.
Exactly.
I have no problem with that.
And Jill says, hit the like. Absolutely, folks. Hit that like button. It does wonders to the YouTube algorithm. And if you're here and you have not yet subscribed, well, holy banana bread, what you waiting for? Christmas?
Yeah.
I do.
Damn it.
Exactly. I would. Yeah. Anyway, just hit subscribe, folks, before my mouth decides just to blabble on. Sometimes I'm a babbling brook, and it's like, I think it's endearing about me, though. Some people might be like, "Holy cow, that's friggin' annoying." I am very versatile that way. But
and I'm totally the opposite. I keep my mouth shut.
But I am about to hit 400. But 400 to me it's not that important. The one I'm excited about is 500 because then that opens up the community tab.
Mhm.
And then it's just one more way for us to communicate.
Yeah, I gained a subscriber yesterday. I'm pretty stoked about that one.
Who?
I got a subscriber yesterday. I don't know who it was.
Oh,
But
one.
yeah, I got
Okay.
one. One,
Well,
yeah.
right now, here's the funny thing. I'm getting a little bit of movement on one of my shorts. And let's take a look here. It's the subscription services short. Oh, all
That
right.
was a good short. I really liked that one. It
Yeah.
made me think about different things that I currently have that I don't use, such as, my telephone that's integrated with my internet.
Ah,
I don't use it. They sold it to me because they could give me a credit discount to make things cheaper. But then I just got an email on Thursday saying that my internet rates were going to go up or something. So I'm reevaluating that now. I don't use it. We have no phone plugged into anything. So
well, exactly. And that's one of those things that you don't want to be paying. And a lot of times too, like I was taking, what was it? I was doing I was really big into art a couple of years ago. And so I was doing some art, an online art course where you basically you paid a monthly fee, and it gave access to all these art lessons. And so I was
right.
going through some of them just to hone a little bit of my ability. And I did that for probably a couple of months, and then after that, I was moving on. I was doing something else, and I forgot all about it. And then it was probably, I think maybe 3-4 months later, I noticed that I was still being billed for it. I'm like, oh, banana bread. I forgot about that. But it's so easy.
Yeah, my wife signed up for Fit for Less. It was like $10 a month.
Uh-huh.
She went the first month. 2 years later, I canceled the subscription.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that does it for sure.
I was like, well, you haven't been. Can I cancel it now? It's been 2 years. And she's like, yeah, you might as well.
And what's up with these gyms? Have you ever noticed they make it so attractive for you to sign up, but
Well,
then to get out, to
it's
get
hard
out,
to get in. Yeah, it's hard to get. Yeah, but even with them being so cheap, it's hard to actually get into the gyms and using it. Like she was going after work, so she was
Mhm.
work till 1 a.m. You try and get in that gym during the day at $10 a month. Good
Mhm.
luck. Good luck.
Oh yeah. No, it's they make most of their money in January because that's when all of the people have their New Year's resolution to get into shape.
Hmm.
And then they sign up and then they make it as hard as possible to get out. So that way there, it's like, oh, well, no, you didn't actually cancel. You didn't do it the right way. So we're still billing you. You got to cancel the right way. It's like, well, what's the right way? Well, you should read your documents. It's in the documents. Just tell me the right way. No, then you won't learn anything. It's just that way. It's like, that's why I'm saying they're like the mafia. It's like,
Hmm.
it's like you'll get a call, from Tony the tuna trainer who's upset that you didn't show up.
Well, yeah, like my Kojiko, my internet's like $84 a month. My home phone is like $43 a month. So it comes out to whatever. And then I get discounts, like a bundle discount, and then I get another discount for taking advantage of a 10-year price freeze for having the lowest internet. Yeah, it keeps going up now. I'm like, oh, is that part of that terms and conditions? It's not going to raise for 10 years. However, read our terms and conditions. I could use that money somewhere else. That's for sure.
Mhm.
I don't believe in paying over $100 a month for internet. There's no
Ladies and
reason.
gentlemen, the official member of our community's booster club, Dave D, saying he promotes all the Canadian channels every chance I get, meeting new people, etc. That's awesome. Cool. Dave is really, he's one of these guys that I don't recall a stream where I haven't seen Dave D.
I think I've had a couple where he's probably there. He just didn't say nothing.
Ah,
A lurker. He's a lurker, just like Nay. Nay's a lurker sometimes too.
sometimes, yeah. Sometimes Nate. I've noticed that even here a couple times. Nate all of a sudden spoke up and said something. I'm like, Nate's here? Holy banana bread! No idea.
You're supposed to check your code at the door, yo.
Exactly.
That way we know you're here.
And there should be. I'm actually surprised that in the StreamYard, I don't have a little thing to tell me who's here.
Yeah, I know.
Because it'd be nice just to know who's here. Like, I would, like, if somebody were lurking and I knew they were there, I would just leave them be, because they, if they chose to just sort of be in the background, then cool. But it'd just be sometimes nice to know who's here, who's doing this. Oh, hey, Blaze. That's my cat.
Tim Carroll's the same way. He does more watching than
chatting.
That
makes sense. And there's sometimes, there's just some days, like you take yesterday. Yesterday, I just had no gumption at all. It's like Jill was like, "Are we gonna go on to Ken's stream tonight?" I was like, well, "Let's watch a movie." So we watched a movie. It was actually kind of cool. It was a Netflix movie called The Unforgivable with Sandra Bullock. And
I've seen that listed on there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's actually pretty good. It's a little emotional. The big twist in the movie I figured out really early on. But I won't say it here because it's a fairly new movie. People maybe haven't seen it, but I enjoyed it. Normally, I don't normally go into too many dramas unless it's like a documentary. I love documentaries. So in other words, my TV has to be really boring or really captivating. That all that middle ground just doesn't exist. So
I watched Body Brokers.
Oh.
And it's about how the rehab system in the United States works. It's a good movie.
Okay.
Yeah, because these group of people that are working the system, they treat rehab patients. They want recidivism from them or whatever, repeat business kind of thing. It was interesting how much money the government pays them for getting people in, like how much the government pays for a rehab patient in clinic. Oh. It is insane. It is an insane amount of money.
Oh, I have no doubt. So today's show is unofficially sponsored by Temptations, the treat to get your cat to stop bugging you when you're live streaming.
Yeah, I have a bag of them.
Yeah. But that's okay. Blaze is a cool cat. I love Blaze, so.
I'm surprised my little cat's leaving me alone. She's usually over here trying to chew on my cords and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I usually throw her in her cage during live streams, but
no, it's very, very cool. Now Jill's cat, the black one, he likes to eat boxes, so that's kind of strange.
That is, must be the glue, the smell of the glue or something.
Maybe. I know we had a little bit of a thing with we had ordered a giant whiteboard that we were going to mount on the wall. Then we decided we didn't want to mount it on the wall. We wanted to put it on an easel, but it was just too big. And so we decided to return it. And now we've got a new one that comes on wheels. So it's actually behind the green screen.
Okay.
So it's there. If you saw that little thing I put with the magnetic letter Saturday night live stream the other day, that was on that board.
Okay.
So I'm going to use it for anytime I need to draw something that I just don't have images for.
Right.
So there will be that. Then there's another project, a side project I have going that I'm not going to mention yet. That I'm going to use it probably more with.
Well, at least you're going to get use of it.
Yeah. And now I did find out something interesting today. If you ever decide to do a second channel on YouTube, you should not put them on the same account. You should create a brand new account for it. And here's the reasoning. Let's say you had a second channel that was more serious than, for example, the after show.
Right.
But you put it on the same account. And then the after show got a little bit too aftery, showy. And let's just say it got 3 X's.
Okay.
So they would then, if you get 3 X's, your channel is canceled. YouTube cancels you. But here's the bad thing. If your channels are on the same account, you lose all your channels. They're all gone.
Oh, shoot.
So you should always sign up with a brand new email to create a whole separate account for any extra channels that you get. I had no idea about this. I only found this out today. I was watching a live stream this morning because it was one of these YouTube content creators, a guy by the name of Nick. What is it? Niminoti?
Does he have the shaved head?
Yeah, he's that one there. Yeah, because he was doing the thing, and I had a question I wanted to ask about the shorts. Because I was just like, should I be making thumbnails? Because I haven't been making thumbnails for the shorts. So I was like, so I asked him, and he was like, only if you're concerned about your shorts being found on YouTube through desktop, through the normal regular search, but you don't need it for the short side of YouTube at all. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because my backgrounds have been interesting enough on the shorts that it looks fine to me.
Right.
So, and that's good because that'd be a lot of extra work having to do like a thumbnail for, because I do 7 shorts a week. So that is a lot of shorts.
Yeah, but you know what? If this is your job, then
okay,
you should be putting in 40 hours a week, right?
Fair enough. There you go.
Maybe a little overtime. You never know, right? If you look at it that way, right?
Jill's upstairs right now, probably going, "Yay, Ken! Put her in her place. Tell her to work harder."
I'm just saying because my show, I don't do too much for anything on it, to be honest, right? So, I can spend the 5 minutes before the show.
Yeah. Now is Pierogi, is that one of your animals?
Yeah, Pierogi, that's the white kitten. Yeah.
Oh, the white kitten is Pierogi. All right.
And Pierogi's the one that normally eats my wires. But I don't know where she is.
Uh-oh. We have a missing cat.
Oh. No, she's laying down on the wipers.
I thought we were going to have a Meowber alert instead of Amber Meowber. Oh, well.
Flip the couch over again, see if I can find it.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Damn.
Yeah, all right. So what time is your show at tonight, Ken? Ken. Yeah, Ken.
Whenever yours is done.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I can't be at 2 places at once, you banana bread head. So yeah.
Well, I can. I just don't think you want to hear me say certain things on yours versus what I would say on mine. So.
That's right. My show is family friendly. The only person who's sworn on my show, everybody knows who it is. We'll just leave him alone. Actually, 2 people have sworn on my show.
Did I not swear once?
I don't think you have. I think you've been well behaved. One person you expect, the other person you wouldn't expect.
Right.
So those have been the 2. Unless, of course, if you count all my banana breads as real swearing, then I swear like a sailor.
Like a drunken sailor. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got myself banana fuddled for sure.
Yes, you get yourself in a lot of banana pudding, I tell you.
Oh, yeah. Actually, right now, this coffee is banana cotton candy.
That's what you were drinking last weekend.
No, the other night. I think I was on the crypto night in Canada.
Oh, yeah, Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, days are blurring.
Yes, Tim, you were one. You said the F word once, but it was half under your breath, so only half the audience probably heard. Now the other half.
Muffled.
Yeah.
Muffled.
But that's the thing. Well, when I get to the point where I'm being monetized, Ryan actually gave me a really good piece of advice saying that, just say adult content anyway. That way there, even though they're, it may be one of those things that happens odd times, then you're covered. So it's like, okay,
well, you got to think about it this way. Okay. So you're doing a financial channel. How old do you have to be for finances? Is it not 18?
Pretty much. Yeah.
So then you just check off not for kids.
Well, exactly. I do that. But I think there's something else too, once you get to the monetized point.
Or maybe,
something Ryan was describing, and I don't know it yet because I'm not there yet, but The big thing is to get to 500 so I can start using that community tab. I'm looking forward to that. That's just my big thing now. It's like I can put polls in it, and I can add content to it if I really want to. Oh, and don't forget, everybody, I do have that free newsletter. So there
Which
is
I haven't subscribed to yet still.
Holy banana bread, Ken.
Remember I said I was gonna? And
You said you were gone. You did. You set expectations.
Well, right now I've been deleting and unsubscribing from certain things on my phone because I'm tired of going through my email once a month going, holy crap, this is a lot of stuff to go
Exactly.
through.
And Tim just pointed out as well, Diecast is young. So he's our youngest member.
Well, yeah, that's true, but
high school
still
student.
watch, right? You can still watch, I think, right?
Oh, of course he can, yeah.
I don't remember having to put an age into a
No, I think it's just
YouTube.
I think it just has to do with
when you get to adult content, then you have to log in to verify your age.
No, it's not that it's adult content. I think it's just that you're going to say that, yeah, you know what, there'll occasionally somebody may swear once or twice here or there. It's not like an adult content. I think all it does is it keeps it from being popping up in like kids feeds.
Okay, yeah.
It's not like a kid would be going, oh, I'm interested in this topic.
Well, yeah, if you say it's not for kids, then YouTube's not going to put it in their algorithm for Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that, right?
Exactly. This is what we should do. If Rye shows up on the after show tonight, we'll just ask him exactly what that setting is he was talking about.
Can you explain the settings to us, please? We are inquiring.
We have questions. Get a big light and we'll shine it in his face. Just
where is the macro film?
Absolutely. All right, guys. So it is getting a little bit late. So we do want to get Ken's show going fairly sooner than later. So let's say another 10 minutes. If you got any remaining questions, throw them in the chat now. We will get it done. We will answer anything, everything. The answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42, so don't ask that one. I think his parents regulate what he watches. Probably.
Yeah, he mentioned something about that. So that's good.
Well, there's nothing wrong with parents being involved. You know, my parents weren't very involved. So
well, the internet's a scary place nowadays, right? So
yeah, it is. It's not a bad thing. And I think like I said, SM is one of those guys that well, his name is Sean. Sean is one of those guys who he's got an insanely bright future ahead of him. Like he is learning. Like a lot of people, like I think the average age in the community is probably about 40 if you look at the median. Right. And a lot of all of us, if we knew what he knows at his age right now, holy banana bread, we would have a lot of extra bananas for sure.
I never thought of saving money until last year.
Yeah.
So 42. It took me until I was 42 to realize that, you know what, you need to start saving money.
Well, that's the thing. The story of my 30s, 20s, and 30s, and part of my 40s was I have money. I have to spend it. What can I spend it on? You know, it wasn't to save it or to invest. Heck, I didn't even know about investing at that point. I mean, the only thing I knew about investing was I watched a Family Ties episode where young, smart, know-it-all Alex decided to pretend he was his father and make an investment, and then the investment got wiped out by a typhoon, and his father made a very, very bad face.
Yeah, it's like when I had my juice business. I always used to have tons of money in the bank. And then you know, I bought my house. I had like $65K in the bank. So I bought my house. They wanted the down payment, which was like 12.5, I think it was, plus lawyers' fees.
And we paid your car off.
And then they wanted me to pay my car off. So I dropped $11,000 just to pay my car right off because they said that was better on your debt ratio for the mortgage, right? Less debt. And then I picked up another credit card.
Yeah, it's funny. Every time you mention your juice business, I have to take a second and think about vaping because that's what juice you're talking about. But the first image that pops into my head is you wearing this little hat that says Sunny D on it, and
Juice King 5,000 machine you buy $100. It make good juice.
No.
Orange here, a banana here, a very good machine. $100. Send it to your house. A free ship. Yeah, free ship. Yes. If you plug it in the wall and it no start, well, hey, it's no good. Yeah.
Oh, see, you would be good at selling juice. Holy cow.
Hey, it's better than being a juicer on a bull ranch.
I'm not even going to go there. Just going to leave that one alone. Everybody,
fine line to
your
walk.
imaginations down a level. Family show.
It is. There's people that work on bull ranches. That's all I'm seeing.
Well, there's families that own bull ranches.
Yeah, there's job opportunity.
Yeah. The only problem is if I worked on a bull ranch, I'd come home every night and I'd be like, oh, that was just a bunch of BS today. What can you say? And Tim is saying, Ken, that took.
He was going to say a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
But I think stop. I know my line. I walk it very nicely.
He gave you just enough context.
Yep.
Just enough context to pull that over. All right. Well, let's be in our last 5 minutes here. What's going on for you this week?
Not a lot. I got that SATA thing on Monday. Looking very forward to that. Mm-hmm. Nothing else on my radar other than working.
Okay, and you got the live stream. Your live stream tonight.
Yeah, get the live stream tonight, and
after
next
show
week,
part 2.
It'll be Friday and Saturday next week too. I might see if I can get that Ponzi Slayer guy on.
Okay,
it'll be interesting. If anybody's looked at his content, holy crap, he is just going to town on devs in the crypto sphere and just ripping them apart and
very, very cool,
making people look at certain things a little different. We'll say. Kind of like what Nay does, but this is strictly crypto.
Awesome. Awesomeness. Okay. So coming up this week, I always have a ton of stuff going on. Remember, tomorrow is my Twitch live stream for Metaverse. That'll be 4 p.m. Eastern. I'll put all of the contact information in the Facebook group, so you can reach that. Information is down below if you're not already a member. And that should be a lot of fun. I'll have 7 shorts out between this week and next week. A short a day keeps
the doctors away.
I was going to say a short a day keeps Nate at bay.
Well, that's true, right?
You know, me and Nate have that friendly race going on.
Yeah, you guys are kind of so.
Yes, Tim, I actually did a short yesterday, and I have one already filmed for tomorrow. Because what I do is on my filming day, so on Wednesday, I filmed, like I had everything all scripted on Tuesday, filmed everything Wednesday morning, then went into editing. Then I put out the video on Wednesday, but I also filmed all the shorts for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Because Monday's my next filming day. When it comes to
make shorts.
Yeah, I know.
Well, if you can bang it off in one day for the whole week, why not? Why not just give her, right?
Well, I have two filming days. So I got 2 filming days and then 3 live stream days now that I've got the Twitch one on Sunday.
Right.
Well, technically, and then if on the weeks when I'm on your show on Friday, but I don't have to do any work for your show.
No.
It's like it's Ken's show. Do you have to do anything? Nah, not really. I'll just comb my hair.
Hair and makeup is optional.
Yeah. Absolutely. So show-wise, I have 2 shows coming out this week. Coming up, of course. The first one will be on Monday. It is the Patreon request show. And how that works, once again, is all of my Patreon members, right now there's 1 of them, they get to vote on whatever they want me to do for that last show. It's their decision. I don't get any say at all. If my Patreon member said, do a show on the financial world of puppies, we would have a show on puppy mills. There's no way around it.
What you're saying is that if anybody else in the audience does not like that content, they should join your Patreon so that they have a say.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, then I can start adding, start adding some more content too. One of the first things, because right now Jill's my Patreon member, and she already knows what my studio is like, but I want to do a tour of my studio. That's what, as soon as I get the next member, I'm doing a tour of my studio, or I'm putting that on Patreon. So that'll be the first thing to drop. And plus, I'm looking at doing some more crypto videos as well for Patreon. And I'm also coming up, I'm looking at some options and leverage and just a little bit on that. But that's probably, some of it's going on Patreon. Some of it will hit here. I think the covered calls is going to hit on this side.
Right.
The other part will be going on Patreon. So there's a lot of great reasons to be there. This is turning into a Patreon commercial. Never meant that. Yeah, and then of course taxes. A lot. The rest of the second half of the week is going to be taxes. Another.
Well, yeah, we got what,
on Wednesday?
2 months till taxes are due. Isn't it April 30th?
No, they're due the end of March.
I thought it was April 30th was the tax deadline.
Yeah, you're right. April 30th, I think. My head's not.
I think March 30th is for anybody that owes you any type of form to have it to you.
Yeah, I think that's the one. Then end of April, and then June 15th for people who are self-employed.
Right. Yeah. So we got 2 months of tax videos you could do. There we go.
We do. But next weekend, we're going to start the whole big ball of wax with me and Nate. Nate knows a lot about taxes just as well. So it should be really, really fun. And Tim is using Coinly. And there we go, Tim. And the other Tim is verifying April 30th. April 30th, yeah, it is. It is absolutely. I don't even know why I said March 30th. I'm like, what the hell did I just say that for?
I'm using Coin Tracker.
I'm going to do the whole thing in Wealthsimple, and I'm going to document it for a video.
But the funny thing is, though, if it wasn't for Coin Tracker, I would not have known about the Sanji thing happening, because I got an email saying that I have a new transaction in my Ethereum wallet. Normally, Zerion pops up on my phone and tells me that. For some reason, it did not do that.
Very cool.
It's always good to have some type of a coin tracking, more than one app or service on your phone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing too. I know, was it Coinly? I think it was Coinly that I had set up initially before I found out about Wealthsimple, and it was trying to say all of my shaking was not $0 Bitcoin, but that it was income. And I was just like, no, it's not supposed to be income. So if I blindly followed what they said in that case, I probably would end up paying more taxes than I have to, because the sats you get from shaking is $0. It goes in as $0 towards your adjusted Coinbase. But we're going to cover all of this stuff over the tax time. I even had a short on the tax status of NFTs. So if you're curious about whether your NFTs are taxable, check out my shorts. There's one there. Any last dying words, Ken?
Candace, I love your shorts.
Me too. That's what my mom always said. In case you're in an accident, make sure you're wearing clean shorts.
Yes, and have your name stitched inside of them too.
Absolutely.
For me, that was just the boys. That might have been just the boys.
Well, that's kind of cool. Anyway, everybody, it's been fantastic having you guys all here. Tune in next week when it's me and Nate, and we will get into the taxes. We'll try to do it in a fun way, because taxes can be boring. Anyway, until then, everybody, thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys all later. Take care.